Hi, today, we will dive deeper into the decrepit world of Granny, and explore the many entities that haunt the house. This is the second part of the exploration into Granny. The first part will be linked below, explaining the synopsis and each game theme. Now, without further ado, let us begin. Kicking off this exploration, is the titular antagonist herself, aptly known as Granny. This entity takes on 4 appearances in the 4 different game themes. For more information on the game themes, check out the video on the top right. Her main appearance is that of an elderly lady, with brownish, almost dead-looking skin. She has white hair on the sides and the back of her head. Her mouth is filled with yellowing and bloodied teeth. Moreover, her mouth remains open for an unknown reason. Her eyes are purely white, with bloodied rims. The entity wears a dirty white nightgown, and holds a bloodied baseball bat. This entity generally roams the house in search of the player. Once the night begins, Granny will spawn in one of 4 locations, either in the basement, the 3rd bedroom on the upper floor, otherwise recognized for containing the movable bookshelf, the living room, close to the TV, and the secret area down the staircase of the weapons room, also recognized for being the connection point between the upstairs and the basement through a crawl space. After a few seconds, the entity will begin to move. She will randomly choose one of her waypoints, of which she has many of around the whole house. Then, she will take the quickest path to the said waypoint. This entity will remain on this path until she reaches the waypoint. By that time, she will stand there for a few seconds, before repeating the process. Every 10 seconds, she will pause and set a bear trap down. These bear traps act as a sort of hazard for the player. Stepping on one of these will cause the player to be unable to move. The player must look at the bear trap and free themselves from it before being able to move. Do take care though, getting stuck on the bear trap creates noise, which serves us nicely onto the next point of interest. Her process of roaming the house can get interrupted if a noise is made throughout the house. This can happen in different ways, but most commonly, it happens via an object being dropped, whether that be an item, or a house object like the paintings on the walls. Should this happen, Granny will immediately change her trajectory, and find the quickest path to the location the noise was made in. The 2 tripwires in the house that ring the bell, one located in the backyard, the other within the main foyer, are another way of making noise, as well as pulling the lever of the guillotine. Should at any point Granny spot the player, the entity will enter into chase mode. During this, she will solely focus on the quickest way to reach and knock out the player. Should she reach the player, the following jump scare will greet you. This entity will only disengage if she loses line of sight for long enough, or if the player manages to hide outside her vision. Take care that if Granny spots the player while they hide, she will drag them out of their hiding spot before knocking them out. In every hiding spots, which includes the chests, the cabinets, or the car, she will remain at the hiding spot before her usual jump scare plays out. This warrants an exception if she spots the player hiding beneath the bed. Should this happen, the entity will subdue the player with a unique jump scare. Take a look. This entity does have an extra mode that she can enter, which I have taken to simply calling her Rage mode. In this mode, she is always aware of the player's location, no matter where they are or how far they are from her. She will know their exact location. This mode can only be disengaged if she is to be knocked out. More on that in a moment. She will only enter this mode under 2 specific circumstances. If the teddy in the hidden compartment of the closet is picked up, or if one of her 2 pets is killed. In the former, she will exit out of Rage mode a few seconds after the teddy is dropped. However, in the latter, she will only exit Rage mode if she is knocked out, or if she manages to catch the player and advance the game one night onwards. This entity can be subdued in a total of 7 different ways. Firstly, she can be knocked out for a set period of time using the tranquilizer darts and the crossbow located in the weapons cabinet. Take a look. Secondly, she can be locked inside the sauna located in the garage. The easiest way to do this is to drop an item inside the furthest part of the sauna. Then, go hide inside the car or in the cabinet in the garage. Once she enters the sauna, close the door and bar it using the wooden plank. After a few seconds, she will be knocked out. Third, you can use the car to knock her out. Once the car is fully repaired, you can reverse the car once. Then, you can drop an item in front of the car. Once Granny is standing there, you can go forwards and knock her out. Take a look. You can alternatively use the freeze trap as well. Located in the locked room in the small sewer-like area under the house, you can drop it on the ground to activate it, indicated by a color change. Should Granny walk onto this, the following will occur. The four aforementioned methods will knock Granny out for a set period of time. This means you gain free access to the whole house in that time frame, and Granny will not be present. The time in which she is knocked out for differs based on the difficulty. She will be knocked out for 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, and 15 seconds respectively. However, you can also subdue her in 3 other methods. You can assemble the shotgun and shoot her. The different parts of the shotgun are located in different parts of the house, and you can assemble them all within the garage. Overall, you'll need 3 pieces. Once assembled, you can load it up and shoot. Take a look. A more dramatic method is by using the gasoline can. You see, if you shoot the gasoline can with a shotgun, it will blow up. Should Granny be caught in this explosion, she will be knocked out. The last 2 methods will knock her out for a few extra seconds. 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1 minute, and 30 seconds respectively. You can alternatively use a less effective method to impair her. More specifically, impair her vision. Beneath the main staircase of the foyer is a small room. The room can only be unlocked using the remote. Once unlocked, you will always find the pepper spray. This item can be used when Granny is close, to blind her. This effect isn't permanent and she will regain her eyesight in a couple of seconds. But while she is visually impaired, she cannot see the player, though she can still hear noise. Take care that the pepper spray only has 4 uses before it becomes forever empty. Moreover, Granny is still capable of knocking you out even in this visually impaired state. Every few seconds when Granny is roaming the house, or when she hears a noise but cannot locate the player, she will randomly choose one of her voice lines, and speak it. These voice lines usually taunt the player in some way. Take a listen.
Where are you? Do you want to play hide and seek? I see you.
Weirdly enough, these voice lines are played slightly sped up in game, whereas the original sound files are slower and deeper. Take a listen.
Where are you? Do you want to play hide and seek? I see you.
While these are the only voice lines you can actually hear in-game, there are 4 other voice lines that were cut from the game beyond version 1.0. Take a listen.
All I wanted to do was play with you. Do you want to play hide and seek? Don't be afraid. I know where you're hiding.
Exactly like the original voice lines, these voice lines play at a higher speed in-game, or at least they used to, before getting cut. The most likely reason for this to have happened is that these voice lines originated from the movie Conjuring. This time, I'll play one of the voice lines at their original speed, and then play the scene from The Conjuring, so you can compare.
Oh, I know where you're hiding.
Oh, I know where you're hiding.
Before we finish our exploration into the first entity, there are two other points of interest. Firstly, you may have noticed that once Granny begins chasing the player, a distinct soundtrack plays. Here it is, in full. However, only in version 1.7.9.3, a different soundtrack used to play. Take a listen. Lastly, Granny appears somewhat different in the different game themes. In Halloween, she appears with a black nightgown, holding a broomstick instead of a bat. She supports a witch's hat, as well as a crooked witch's nose. Should she knock out the player, the following animation plays out. And if she catches the player hiding beneath the bed, the following event plays out. Should Granny begin chasing the player in this game theme, a different soundtrack plays. Take a listen. Within the Christmas game theme, this entity appears wearing a red and white gown, a makeshift white beard, and a Santa's hat. Should the entity catch the player, the following event will occur. And if she catches the player hiding under the bed, the following event will play out. Should she begin chasing the player in this game theme, a unique soundtrack plays out. Take a listen. Finally, the entity's appearance changes within the Nightmare game theme. While not as prominent as the others, changes are still visible, most notable of which being a darker, more rotted-looking skin, and a more dirtier nightgown. Should the entity catch the player, the following event plays out. Should she catch the player hiding beneath the bed, the following event occurs. And lastly, a unique, considerably more unsettling soundtrack plays when being chased by Granny in this game theme. Take a listen. Our next entity, possibly the most unnerving, is known as Mother. While most of the fan base calls this character Angelina, that is in fact not her real name. In fact, her real name has never been revealed, and she is always referred to as Mother, or Mom within the games. This entity takes on two general appearances in this game. First, she appears as an elderly lady, wearing a similar dress to Granny, with the distinct red symbol on the front. The entity has white and gray hair that is tied into a bun, her mouth hangs agape, revealing sharp teeth. At first, this entity appears in the third bedroom of the upstairs area. There is a lever in a wall behind a painting. Pulling this lever will move the bookshelf in the same room. Behind this bookshelf, you will find Slendrina's mother. She is tied at her wrist to the wall with chains. In front of her is a pedestal. Placing the book, an item found somewhere within the house, will release her from her chains. Should you walk away a certain distance from the room, and then come back, you'll see that the entity will be crawling. She seems to be crawling towards the door. However, before she can make it, she will die, and spit out the spider key. Take a look. Using this key, you can open the hatch found in the living room between the couch and TV. Going inside greets you with a small enclosed space. There is another drop, which then leads into the tunnels. Within here, you can crawl forwards, until you come across the following event. That is Slendrina's mother's second appearance. You see, these tunnels are completely inaccessible by Granny. Therefore, Slendrina's mother will take on her role as the antagonist of these tunnels. She roams the tunnels randomly in a similar fashion as Granny. Should she see the player, she will begin to chase. Only then does her appearance become even clearer. The entity, more commonly known as the large spider, is a hexapod hybrid creature with 6 long black legs and the head of Slendrina's mother. She has pale skin, white hair tied back in a bun, blue-gray eyes, an angry expression, a large, gaping mouth with sharp teeth, and several scars on her face. Despite her being referred to as the large spider, unlike real arachnids which have 8 legs, the entity only has 6, which makes it so it appears more like a hexapod hybrid, or a mutated insectoid creature with the head of a human, rather than an actual spider. As said before, the entity will roam the tunnels in a similar manner to Granny. Unlike Granny though, the entity has no reactions to sound, meaning sound is not of any concern to the player when they are inside the tunnels. While she roams almost the entirety of the tunnels, there are a few places she cannot access. This is a map of the tunnels. Firstly, she is too big to crawl through crawl spaces, meaning, these areas are completely off limits. There is also a crawl space connecting into this long hallway. While she can't go through the crawl space, she can go around, so the area isn't inaccessible to her. She also has no way of catching the player inside the elevator provided that the doors are closed, and she cannot ever enter into the chest room. It's important to note, the entity will never wander into the gated area, even if open, along with the small tunnel with the wheel crank on her own, though she can still chase you into both areas. Should she ever catch the player, the following event occurs. This entity is completely immune to the tranquilizer darts, the pepper spray, and even the freeze trap. However, she can be stunned using the shotgun, or the gasoline can's explosion. Though she can still catch the player in this stunned state, and will shortly get back up and begin to roam. Take a look. While the entity itself doesn't speak, she has a few soundtracks and sound effects tied to her. Take a listen. Lastly, are these entities' different appearances in each game theme. Within Halloween, she appears wearing a witch's hat and a witch's nose, along with a black dress, mirroring that of Granny's appearance. Within her spider form, she keeps most of the qualities, but as she now doesn't have a body, she also doesn't have a black dress. Here is the jump scare. Within Christmas, her appearance once again is very similar to Granny, wearing a red dress and a Santa's hat. However, in her spider form, her appearance changes entirely. Instead of a costume referencing Santa, this entity seems to reference one of Santa's magical reindeers. She dawns on antlers. And of course, here is the jump scare. Just like Granny, this entity appears more crusty and bloodied within the Nightmare game theme. Also, as you might have wondered, unlike Granny, the entity's chase theme remains the same in each game theme. Let's move on to our next entity, finishing this with this entity's jump scare in the Nightmare game theme. Take a look. Our next entity is known simply as Granny's Spider. This entity appears as a giant spider, with brownish skin, long thin legs, 8 red eyes, a large abdomen or opisthothoma, and a pair of large mandibles. This entity resides entirely within the special room. You see, on the 3rd floor of Granny's house, there is a door that requires a special key to open. Once inserted, the door will slide open, leading to a staircase. Ascending the staircase will lead you into this room. On the corner of this room is a large wooden structure. Within this structure, is where the spider resides. This entity will remain in this structure unless provoked. Should the player step into its line of sight, the entity will hiss, and then charge towards the player with terrifying speed. Should it reach the player, it will knock them out. Take a look. This entity is immune to the tranquilizer darts, the freeze trap, and the pepper spray, though, there is one way of killing this entity. Shooting the entity with the shotgun will kill the spider entirely. Be careful though, you cannot shoot the spider if it is within the wooden structure, that will only provoke the entity to charge towards the player. You must lure it out of the structure, by stepping into its line of sight, and shooting before it reaches you. Alternatively, if your aim isn't good enough, you can place the meat upon the plate found at the other end of the room. Then, when the spider goes to eat, shoot it to subdue it. Take care though, the spider seems to be smarter than one would expect. The entity will instantly eat the meat and charge you if you stand too close to it with the shotgun as it is eating. Meaning, the best way to kill the spider in this method is to stand near the top of the staircase and take aim from there. There are 2 other ways of dealing with this entity without actually killing it. First, as discussed before, you can use the meat. Placing it on the plate will cause the spider to charge towards it to eat, giving you a window of opportunity to go across the room and grab the item in the cabinet. However, you must be quick. The entity won't remain there forever, and once it's done eating, if you are within its line of sight it will once again charge towards you. Alternatively, you can use the crossbow and tranquilizer darts. If you may recall, I said that the entity is immune to the tranquilizer darts. However, that doesn't mean it cannot be used against it. Connected with a wire to the wooden structure is a big red button. This button is out of the reach of the player. However, using the crossbow, you can shoot the button. This will cause the door of the structure to slam shut, trapping the spider within and giving you complete free roam. This action can also be replicated using the shotgun. Here is what the full event looks like. Keeping up with the spider theme of the last 2 entities, let's quickly talk about another spider entity, known simply as the Cellar spiders. These entities take on the exact same appearance as Granny's spider, however, they appear much smaller than the aforementioned entity. These spiders are exclusively found inside the tunnels. They crawl across the walls with a skittering sound. These entities cannot harm the player, and only serve as environmental ambience rather than an actual threat. These entities do impair the player's hearing slightly, making it hard to hear the large spider's footsteps, since their skittering noise is actually quite loud. Here, take a listen. Our next entity is known as the Crow. The crow takes on the appearance of a black bird, and despite being called the crow, it appears to be a raven instead of a crow, as seen by its curved beak. This entity is exclusively found in the room behind the meat locker. The entity primarily remains in its cage. Beneath its feet is always an item. The player cannot obtain the item, because the crow will be guarding it. Take a look. There are two ways of obtaining the item. First, you must obtain the bird seeds within the house. Then, you can pour the seeds here. This will distract the crow long enough for the player to obtain the item. Take a look. While this entity is immune to the tranquilizer darts, the freeze trap, and the pepper spray, the shotgun can be used to kill the entity. This will give you access to the item below its feet as well. Take a look. And our last of the main entities is known as Slendrina. This entity appears as a ghostly pale woman, with long black seemingly dirty hair, a mouth that hangs agape, red eyes surrounded by black marks, and a dress with a red symbol on it. This entity makes a very minor appearance in Granny. In the third floor of Granny's house, there is a door that is barred with wooden planks. You can knock the planks loose with the hammer. Inside, you'll notice an old wooden crib. Take the teddy bear found inside the secret compartment of the closet in the weapons room, and drop it inside the crib. This action will result in the following event. This serves as an Easter egg and nothing more, though. This Easter egg does make a slight change to the ending. Should you escape through the door after having done that, she will make an appearance in the ending, alongside the teddy bear. For more information on these endings, check out the video on the top right. From here onwards, our entities are going to be game theme exclusive, meaning, they'll only appear in one or two game themes, starting first with the Halloween Ghost. This entity appears very similar to how media usually portrays ghosts. It appears as a white sheet, draped over something that isn't visible. Two black circles, similar to eyes, can be seen. The entity doesn't seem to have legs. It is also unknown if the entity is the sheet itself, or whatever is underneath it. This entity is exclusive to the Halloween game theme. It does not actually spawn normally. The entity must be summoned by the player. To do this, the player must go to the backyard, grab the dead rat item found near the cauldron, and throw it inside the cauldron. Doing this will result in the following event. This entity does not harm the player, and seems to act only as ambience. The entity will fly through the walls and objects in the house at random, with no set pattern. However, the entity does have a few interesting sound effects. Take a look. Our next entity is known as the Ghostly Skeleton. Much like the last entity, this entity is also exclusive to the Halloween game theme. This entity appears as an undead and animated skeleton of a human. The entity appears translucent and almost ghostly. This entity will randomly roam the house. It can phase through doors, but cannot enter into the tunnels. Should this entity spot the player, it will begin moving towards them at an accelerated speed. Should it catch the player, it will spray green slime onto their face. This will obscure the player's vision for a little while, but has no other adverse effects. The entity isn't affected by hiding spots, the tranquilizer darts, the shotgun, the pepper spray, or the freeze trap. Here is the full event of this entity catching the player. Our next, quote-unquote, entity is known as the spider cutouts. These entities appear as a black spider, with a big abdomen, green eyes, a pair of mandibles, and 10 legs. This entity is exclusive to the Halloween game theme. This entity isn't harmful, and acts completely as a jump scare mechanic. This entity will appear from the top of a crawl space or corner, should the player reach a certain distance to it, accompanied by a jump scare sound effect. This entity makes an appearance in 3 places in the game: the secret area at the beginning of the staircase, the crawl space between the basement and the weapons room, and the tunnels at the crawl space to the room with the exit, closest to the elevator. Here is the full jump scare. Our next entity is known as the skeleton skull. As you've come to expect, this entity is exclusively found in the Halloween game theme. Appearing as a human skull, these entities appear in different places within the house, most noticeably the wardrobe and the dining room. This entity at first appears motionless, then if the player approaches it, it will laugh and turn to look at the player and begin to follow their movement. Besides this, the entity doesn't do anything else. Take a look. Our last Halloween exclusive entity is simply known as the jack-o'-lantern. This entity appears as a carved pumpkin. Its appearance is in line with what you would expect of a carved pumpkin during Halloween. This entity behaves identically to the last entity, found within multiple points of the house. If it is approached, the entity will look at the player and track their movement. Unlike the last entity though, within the room located in the room behind the meat locker, there is a miniature version of this entity. Take a look. Our next entity is known as Little Santa. Taking on the appearance of a dwarf-sized white-aged man, wearing a Santa's hat and suit, this entity is exclusive to the Christmas game theme. This entity, much like the Halloween ghost, doesn't actually spawn as the game starts like the other entities. Instead, this entity must be unwrapped. Within the room connected to the living room, there is a large red present. Should you unwrap this present, you'll find the little Santa inside. This entity will remain completely still for a couple of seconds before beginning to move. The entity will move around the house, much like Granny. Should the entity spot the player, it will chase them. Should it catch the player, it will slap the player, causing the player to drop the item they are holding. Besides forcing the player to drop their held item, this action will not have any other adverse effect. Take a look. Unlike what you've come to expect, this entity can actually be stunned for quite a while in 4 different ways. If is shot with the tranquilizer darts, is shot with a shotgun, is in range of the explosion of the gasoline can, or is hit with the explosive ornament, it will be stunned for some time, before getting back up and resuming its usual behavior. Take a look. Our next entity is known as the Snowman. Much like the skulls and jack-o'-lanterns, this entity acts more as environmental ambience. Unlike those 2 entities, this entity is exclusively found in the backyard. Once approached, it will turn towards the player and track their movements. Take a look. And finally, our last entity is known as The spectral rats. These entities appear as a transparent white rat. This entity is exclusive to the Halloween and Nightmare game themes. It will roam the house much like the other entities. This entity will not chase the player, and will only roam throughout the house. Should the player step onto the entity, it will squeak, and alert Granny to the player's presence. Take a look. Though it cannot be killed or even stunned, the entity makes a squeaking noise if it is shot with the crossbow. Take a look. And finally, our exploration into the world of entities in Granny has come to a close. If you wish to watch more entities explained, click on the playlist on the right. If you wish to watch a video YouTube believes is best for you, click the video on the left. And remember, the more beautiful it is, the more horrible the secret is.